So, it's the middle of November, and I've had a little bit of time to reflect on something that I wanted to talk about. I saw some news stories right around Halloween about the possibility of cannabis-infused candy that's normally used medicinally being put into Halloween trick-or-treater bags, either maliciously or on accident. And I'd like to say that first, on accident seems highly improbable because it's expensive. You don't hear about a house handing out $5 bills, and you probably won't hear about a house handing out pot candy because it's just something that once you buy it, you're going to keep track of it because you spent a lot of money on it. Okay, you are invested in making sure that stuff is safe. But also, maliciously is something that I'd like to address because I think that I've lived the greater context, and I feel like people younger than me, especially a decade or more younger than me, won't understand how this is part of a pattern in news media. Because growing up, I was actually escorted on my trick-or-treating, and I was not to eat any candy until we got home, because we had to have our candy searched for needle holes. You know, in each and every little corner of a Snickers bar wrapper, we had to have it searched by our parents. And this wasn't our parents trying to get to our candy first. This was our parents trying to be diligent due to the quite prevalent belief that there were evil people in the world drugging little kids out of maliciousness. Which was not true. And right before I stopped trick-or-treating, a study came out that looked between the 50s and the 80s, that entire span of time, and it said that two cases where children had been poisoned by Halloween candy. And in those two cases, ironically, the people that poisoned those children were close family members. One of which, the child had previously ingested heroin, died from it because he ate it on accident, and then they sprinkled it on Halloween cookies to try to make it look like it was a poisoning. They were trying to cover up an accident. But, yeah, nobody's being poisoned by strangers, okay? There's no cases of needles or apples with razors in them. But this fear-mongering continued. Every year, the news would report that there's a possibility that your kids could be poisoned, so you better trick-or-treat only at houses that you feel are safe and good neighborhoods, and you better walk with your children because they might get snatched. Not a lot of that going on during Halloween. It does happen, but not enough to warrant the fear that the news puts into people. Yeah, just the way that the media portrayed parents who wouldn't walk with their children and let them go off with a different set of kids instead of walking with them. The way that they portrayed parents who wouldn't check their own kids' candy seemed like part of a larger culture war. Because, we had moms that were, going to work instead of being stay-at-home moms. We had single parents and all that. And instead of talking about shit like that, they started showing examples of what model parents would do. So model parents are like soccer moms who attend every little thing that their kids do, and that includes being diligent on Halloween. Okay, so now we've got the other social issue here in Colorado and in Washington, where we've now legalized marijuana. So now the scare has adapted over the decades into there's medicinal pot candy out there, so now you have to be afraid of that. But if you actually look through all of the news stories about the possibility of Halloween candy being poisoned, you'll find that it's just always referred to as a possibility. It doesn't actually happen. So, I'd just like to point out that this is just part of a larger social culture war where things like cyber stalking predators are, hyped in the media, where in reality you are 100 times more likely to be molested by the male lover of a close relative than you are someone that you meet online. To be clear, a child is more safe locked in their bedroom with the internet than they are around male lovers of close relatives. That's what I'm saying here. But that doesn't really jive with the cultural standards that are being fought for by those who are fearmongers. They would like you to think that sexual predators online are the demon that we need to keep our eyes on, and men who can get close to children by masking themselves in relationships in order to get closer to them. Those are harder to fight against because one of the things that they'll point out about the sexual predators is they'll call them gay, which most of them actually are not gay. They'll also say that they're single loners. So to think that somebody would be in a relationship, might even be married, and they're more likely to be the offender, that just doesn't fit with the kind of cultural values they're trying to instill with their fearmongering. So they kind of push aside the real issues and just look at this thing that is very easy to get a polarized reaction to, amongst everyone. Everyone hates child predators. Nobody likes, even child predators hate child predators, right? But it's not the real issue that we should be looking at. In fact, if we're just going to look back at the Halloween candy issue, what is the #1 cause of death in America right now? I'd say it's heart disease from obesity. But we don't look at that, do we? We don't look at how we're teaching kids that the best food to get on Halloween is all pre-processed with high amounts of sugar. And we teach kids that if you see an apple in your bag, throw it on the lawn of that person and stomp it in the ground, because they're being unsafe because some other house could be putting razors. So you don't put unsafe food. It all has to be pre-packaged by a company. We teach kids to think that fruit on Halloween is bad. And then we wonder why we have people dying from obesity, getting diabetes earlier and earlier in life. We don't look at those issues. We look at something that's completely fake and made up. But I guess it gets views. It sells copy. Take care, everyone.